Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture what we will do is that we will learn how the Android app actually works. And what we will do is that we will basically modify this current app to a little bit of different app. So essentially, in a way, you could say that we will be creating our very first Android app. So let's first understand how the Android application actually works when we actually run this app. So as I mentioned, the main logic or the main brain of your Android application lies in this main activity.java file. So when you run this application for the very first time, what happens is that the code execution starts from the main activity.java class. So if you have a look at code, the relevant changes are going to appear over here. And if you don't have this thing shown up on your computer, then the reason for that would be you have not clicked the preview window. So there is actually an option of preview over here. So in case if it's unchecked, you won't be able to see any preview over here. So you simply need to click that and you'll be able to have a nice preview of your application over here. Okay, so let's get back to the main point. So the main point here was to understand this XML code right here. So as I mentioned, this thing is called as a layout because things or elements are laid out on this particular layout. Now you have to specify what kind of layout do you want to use for your application. So as you could see from this tag, you could make out that this is a relative layout, and relative layout is essentially a layout which places the elements relative to each other. So as you could see, the relative layout tags next to the text view, the size of the layout is going to grow continuously. Now the next thing which you need to do is that you do need to specify what type of text do you want to display in this text view. So in order to specify that property, you could type in Android : and then you could type in text, and we could type this equals, and in quotations you could specify some text like, let's say, hello world. So as you could see, as you make changes to this particular text views, the text over here in your layout changes as well. Now this is how you could do it from the code, and if you actually want to make modifications from the design view, what you could do is that you could simply take a text view if you want to add. So let me first delete this text view. So I'm going to entirely delete this. And now we will learn another way of adding a text view, that is by using these widgets. So if you scroll to the top, this is a text view right here. You could simply drag this thing up and drop it anywhere you want. So let's say you want to drop it over here. So as you could see, you now have the text view over here. And if you want to change the text of this text view, you could simply select this. And if you go to the right hand side corner, as you could see, the properties of the text view are set over here. So the layout width is set to wrap content, the layout height is set to wrap content, and the text is set to text view. So what you could do is that you could simply select this thing and change the text view to, let's say, hello world. So now as you could see, the text view text has been changed to hello world. And if you want to align this thing to center, what you could simply do is that you could select it, bring it back over here in the middle, and that's absolutely going to fit well. Now let's assume that you actually want to change the background of your layout. So in that case, what you could do is that you could go to the XML code, and in here in background, you could specify any color which you want. So you could basically type in Android background, and you could set the color to any color of your choice. So that's going to be any value. So let's say that is FF5567. So as you could see, I have set the color to this particular value, which is kind of a pinkish color. So that's how you could basically go ahead and change the layout of your Android application. So this was just to give you guys an idea of how to basically go ahead and change the layout of your application. Now in the next lecture, what we will do is that we will learn the logical part of your application. That is basically how to go ahead and add some logic to your application. So in the next lecture, what we will do is that we will go ahead and learn how you could add up a button to this particular application, and when you click this particular button, the text on your application is going to change. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.